A district judge accused of misusing his office to get personal work out of defendants in his court. Fox 16's Marci Manley, the first to confirm this judge had multiple ongoing investigations, and tells us if what he's accused of is criminal.
In District Judge Joe Bachmann's courtroom Thursday, it's business as usual. Despite allegations he's allowed defendants to work on his family farm out in the county in lieu of paying fees or conducting community service.
Judge Bachmann?
While judges spend a lot of time issuing opinions,
Yes, ma'am.
Bachmann didn't have much to say about the allegations against him.
I do not want to speak on those things. Thank you very much.
So you don't have anything that you want to say to the public as far as the truth of the allegations or not?
The truth will eventually be found out.
The Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission, which investigates possible violations of judicial conduct, confirms its investigation.
This agency did open an investigation involving Judge Bachmann several months ago, and at the point where we discovered things that might be criminal in nature is when we turned it over to the appropriate authorities.
But when we attempted to follow up on the criminal investigation, our calls to Administrative Judge Chris Morledge went unreturned all week. On Tuesday, we were stalled at the circuit clerk's office.
I'm going to call in to my administrative judge.
And then on Thursday,
That's just all I can give you.
we were given this letter in response to our request for court documents.
You asked for freedom of information and it can't be answered at this time.
Didn't know if the sheriff was in.
We reached out to the sheriff to see if his officers were investigating. His only response was an off-camera no comment.
What I hear is just hearsay. I don't know if it's true or not.
While when Police Chief Jeff Sanders has heard rumors,
I just heard he was under investigations.
he hasn't been questioned by anyone and says his officers haven't voiced concerns about what goes on inside Bachmann's court.
Ain't nothing been brought to my attention.
At this point, the judicial ethics investigation continues.
There's a specific canon or rule that talks about using the robe or using your position for personal benefit, whether it's for you or for others.
And Bachmann is still sitting behind the bench. It remains to be seen if he'll be standing in front of one in the coming weeks.
Here's the Fox 16 bottom line. Multiple sources say a special prosecutor has been appointed to the case and state police are assisting. State police say they're bound by the gag order and cannot provide any information. Based on past precedent, Bachmann would likely have to be charged with a crime before action would be taken to remove him from the bench. This isn't the first time he's been on the radar for judicial ethics. He was sanctioned in 2011 for conflict of interest issues.
Allegations against you?
I do not want to speak on those things. Thank you very much.
So you don't have anything that you want to say to the public as far as the truth of the allegations or not?
The truth will eventually be found out.
A cross-county judge didn't have much to say to us about allegations against him that Fox 16 investigates, was the first to cover in depth this summer. Today, the commission that disciplines judges had plenty to disclose, and formal charges against the judge will now face his own day in court, but not from behind the bench. Fox 16 investigator Marci Manley broke the news today. And Marci, we're talking about 15 pages worth of documents that seem to show an abuse of power.
At this point, these are formal charges, but they're just allegations, and the case will go through a trial process similar to that in a lawsuit. The judge facing allegations that he reduced sentences in exchange for sex, heard cases that he shouldn't have, and there are even questions of criminal violations like the possession of child porn. And at this point, he may still end up hearing cases behind the bench until this case is closed.
Today we announced charges against Judge Joe Bachmann.
You might say Tuesday marks a tough day for judges in Arkansas.
Just the fact that we had enough to go forward is tough on the judiciary.
As the Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission levels charges against a sitting district judge in Cross County following a year-long investigation by those in the office.
The district judges are really where we learn, where we trust judges, how they act, how they should act. It's an incredibly important role.
In a 15-page document, Judge Joe Bachmann is accused of breaking that trust with a variety of ethical violations and possibly criminal behavior.
Improper relationships with...
Bachmann's accused of propositioning those facing charges in his court to exchange sex for fines and reduced sentences.
In cases he should not have been involved in.
Of hearing cases involving family members and men he had sexual relationships with. Also, forcing those men to take photos, endure spankings for his pleasure, for money, and as punishment. And then having these men work for friends, some who are allegedly also in the legal profession, in addition to making payments to public officials involved in criminal investigations in his county.
You throw, some sexual allegations and you throw some money and checks and public officials, it's going to draw some attention, and that's unfortunate, but there's, on the other hand, it's exactly what we do. We are here to protect the public. Anytime you have an issue where it looks like the government has become the lawbreaker, anytime you have a situation where someone who's supposed to be making fair decisions is the one who also may or may not be committing improper acts, it undermines the system.
The Discipline and Disability Commission director doesn't have the ability to remove Bachmann from the bench at this point.
I do not want to speak on those things. Thank you very much.
Until the judge answers the allegations during his day in court.
Truth will eventually be found out.
Whether he continues to wear the robe and wield his power remains to be seen.
Bachmann's attorney tells us that he'll be filing a pleading denying all of the allegations, and the judge plans to fight those allegations at the commission. He has 30 days to respond. Back to you.
Investigates. The Arkansas Supreme Court has taken away the docket of a cross-county judge accused of trading sexual favors to reduce defendants' sentences. Judge Joe Bachmann was absent during court today, with J. Harmon Smith presiding in his place. The Supreme Court will appoint a special judge to handle Bachmann's caseload indefinitely. The commission in charge of disciplining judges announced a variety of charges against Bachmann on Tuesday. He denies the allegations, but a number of people were relieved he was not in court today.
Here you got people trying to get things straightened out, and he's offering them, you do this and I'll waive this, you won't have to pay that. It's just kind of disgusting.
Bachmann wouldn't comment on the allegations when we approached him back in August. His attorney said Bachmann would fight the allegations at the commission. From what we understand, a criminal investigation is ongoing, but law enforcement will not comment on that because of a gag order.
Yet multiple sources tell me that some of the attorneys receiving payments from Judge Joe Bachmann appeared before his court on a regular basis. While we don't know the reasons behind all the payments, at this point it would seem more fallout could be on the way for how business was handled inside Judge Bachmann's courtroom.
Plenty of allegations have been tossed out against District Judge Joe Bachmann, ranging from soliciting sexual favors from defendants to possible child porn on his home computer.
Came across allegations that could be criminal in nature, and we did what we're supposed to do, which is turn that over. Judge
Bachmann and his attorney haven't had many comments to make other than they plan to fight those allegations.
Truth will eventually be found out.
But one issue which may lead to further fallout in the cross-county legal community.
We've used our subpoena power for bank records.
Payments the judge is alleged to have made to local lawyers, which sources tell us tally in the thousands of dollars.
You're correctly interpreting that there's some issues there with checks being written to people who may be appearing in front of the judge. That would result in a referral to the Committee on Professional Conduct.
The executive director for the Committee on Professional Conduct said he couldn't comment on specifics in Bachmann's case, but he wouldn't deny he had received the JDDC charging document. A parallel investigation will be conducted, he said, regarding Bachmann and any other attorneys involved.
They include allegations that the judge involved in conflict of interest in cases he should not have been involved in or recused from, improper relationships with probationers and others in his court.
Multiple sources have confirmed the identities of 3 attorneys who received payments, which we won't release until they're officially charged. We're told 2 of those are defense attorneys who regularly represented clients Bachmann was personally or professionally involved with. Another, an Eastern Arkansas deputy prosecutor who also worked cases in Bachmann's court.
That's a good question that will come up in the middle of the trial or the hearing as to how long people knew about it, were there other agencies that investigated, if so, why not?
Bachmann not serving on the bench after the Supreme Court removed his docket, and at this point he's also the subject of a criminal investigation shielded for the past 4 months by a gag order that is yet to be lifted.
Now, we spoke with one of the attorneys involved. He said he received $1,000 from the judge in 2011. According to the lawyer, he was hosting an exchange student, and Bachmann wanted to pay for a trip for the student. The checks were written as a reimbursement. The other 2 attorneys have either not confirmed or denied the allegations or haven't responded at all. Back to you.
Time now for a Fox 16 News update. An Arkansas judge accused of exchanging sexual acts for reduced sentences for defendants is denying the allegations. In the 7-page response filed by Judge Joe Bachmann's attorney, the judge denies allegations that community service in his court was sexual in nature. Bachmann noted he only took pictures of defendants to prove they had performed the community service. He offered explanations for other issues the Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission raised. He also denied hearing cases involving former employees mentioned in the complaint.
More details tonight released in the case of an Arkansas judge accused of trading sex from defendants for reduced sentences and making thousands of dollars in payments to attorneys who argued in his courtroom. Fox 16's Marci Manley was the first to give us an in-depth report on the allegations. That was back in August. And Marci, tonight we're learning more from investigators about how they say Bachmann used his power against defendants.
Yeah, Donna, the Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission, including more information in an amended complaint against Bachmann, saying he paid dozens of defendants thousands of dollars, drank around them, invited them to his home to take photographs of them, and new witnesses now coming forward who say this behavior was going on as recently as the spring of 2015.
Today we announced charges against Judge Joe Bachmann.
After announcing formal charges against Judge Joe Bachmann in November,
all the motions filed now will be public information.
The Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission laying out more explicit allegations against the elected official accused of abusing his power over defendants.
The behavior that's alleged is egregious. There's no way around it. It certainly flies in the face of everything that is good about our judiciary.
In the updated 15-page complaint released Tuesday, Bachmann is accused of inviting defendants to his home, offering them drinks, and demanding they take photos bent over, some depicting only their backsides, to supposedly confirm community service in his court had been completed.
Well, I certainly welcome the judge's explanation on some of these photographs. I think they'll speak for themselves when you see them. They are photographs that appear to be for one purpose and one purpose only, which is to show the backside of a man.
One of the new victims in the case, a minor appearing in court for a traffic violation who was photographed. Another victim saying when he arrived at the judge's home at Bachmann's request, the judge offered to pay him hundreds of dollars to take a nude photo in the style of the Statue of David.
And it's exploitation in the worst way, in that you're using your position of authority to pick on those who are young or vulnerable.
The judge also accused of making thousands of dollars in payments to dozens of defendants who appeared before him over a span of years, hundreds of checks, and countless appearances by them in court.
And we'll see if he has a credible answer for that. But I don't think you'll find many judges in the state that would say it's normal for them to drive away from court with a defendant in their car, nor to have defendants come to their house, nor to have defendants be offered drinks at their house, nor to take photographs of them from behind.
Throughout all this, Judge Bachmann has maintained his innocence.
Now, we've also finally been able to get a copy of this document. We've been asking the Cross County Circuit Court for nearly 6 months to obtain it. It spells out a special prosecutor has been appointed to an investigation dealing with Bachmann that may result in criminal prosecution. But the circuit judge has also sealed any records pertaining to the case and ordered law enforcement not to speak with us. Donna?
My goodness, and you've been covering this since August, and to hear the details of this, it's mind-boggling that something like this possibly happened. Let's say he's convicted of this. What kind of charges are we looking at?
Well, obviously we don't know that from law enforcement. Yeah, at this point, but the JDDC spelled out what they thought some of these things could violate, and that includes abuse of public trust, which is a felony, coercion, which is a misdemeanor, and there's also the question of sexual assault in the 3rd degree, because he is in a position of authority over some of these individuals, not to mention federal code and federal statute of forced labor that falls under the human trafficking statute. And so all of these fees the JDDC says, or its investigators say, could be at play based on what they found in evidence.
Could there be more potential witnesses or victims?
They think that there are more people out there, and they're hoping that they'll come forward, contact them, and give them any details that they might have.
Okay, Marci, good job on that. Thank
Thanks.
you.